Welcome people, my name is Ayush Jain, and this is my first video, my first podcast on YouTube. Being the first, I am a bit nervous and a bit excited at the same time. So if I do make any mistake, please pardon me. Why was I so sure about this video being very informative? It's because of the guest that we have today. My mentor, a person who has guided me through various aspects of life. And not only me, but thousands and thousands of students who are currently dispersed throughout the globe. An educationist, a person who has expertise in the field of mental health and how the brain works, a person who has worked for the society, the welfare of the society, and most important of all, the heart and soul of one of the finest institutes that we have, St. Joseph School, Bhagalpur. The Library of Experience, please welcome Reverend Father Verghese Panangat. Thank you so much, Father, for allowing us to shoot this podcast. I had been waiting to shoot this podcast since very long, since from the school days. But the point is, he was a very strict principal and a friendly principal at the same time. So you had the risk of getting thrashed whenever you made any sort of mistakes. So I hope that does not happen right now. Father, I wanted to start this podcast. I have a incident, or rather you can say a story that I have. It's of my friend from Kolkata. So his father incurred a financial loss in his business, and at the same time he was facing some of his family issues and everything. Because of all this, he went into a state of isolation, or you can say depression. Generally what we feel, or what I feel, is at that point of time I expect people, his relatives or society, to help him out, to talk to him, maybe to at least listen to what he has. But this is what he said to me. All of the society members, his neighbors and everyone, they in a kind started to boycott him, try to stay away from him, as if it's a kind of a communicable disease or something. They were trying to avoid him in the fact that he is facing something wrong mentally, and that should not come to our family, that should not have any shadows to our family. And this is not just his story. I have seen this in various families in our general Indian society, where the topic of mental health is considered like a sin or something. If you talk about a psychiatrist or going to a psychiatrist or something, people tend to believe that he's facing some kind of mental issues, he's not well. So it's not good here. What do you think about it? What is your view on the importance of mental health?
At the very outset, I would like to say that I am not an expert in mental field in the professional sense.
Yes, Father, but you have the experience, you have been with the youth for more than 40 to 50 years.
So the more of my experience is of living with the students, young people, and their frustrations. Somehow we have created a relationship that students, even after leaving the school, they will come and share some of their experiences and so on. So naturally, the anxiety, depression, mental disorder, if anyone familiar with the young people, you can notice that it is increasing. Just to give you an example, now since I take everyday classes in at least 4 sections, I meet students. The children who are in the school at present, they look very strange. The effect of corona
due to
on
corona.
them. So they have seen death closely. Some of their relatives, or some people even their own close ones. Then they have seen financial difficulties. They have been left lonely. They were not able to lead that earlier life where they freely went and mixed with the friends and going around. That was not possible. Now, and also such a restriction like they can't talk, they cover their face with a mask. All this have psychological effect, and you can see them in the class. They won't not talk with anyone. That friendly, that making fun with each other, that has come to a little much less. And that they are not able to even remember what they have studied. So because of the emotion that went through, so they are in a difficult state.
Like the period that passed in the time of Corona, it kind of created a habit in them also to stay in isolation.
Isolation, then seeing the problems of life. Early the people were looking at the future with a lot of hope.
Now they look at with uncertainty.
Total uncertainty. So naturally this is going to affect the mental health of the people.
When this thing comes, like, it's very high time that we normalize the talk about mental health in the society. Like if I was sitting in 2010, then this discussion I don't think many people would have given importance to, like talking about mental health, talking about depression or anything. But I think things are changing, like through social media and everything. People are now getting more aware of what depression is, what panic attacks are. They are actually a problem.
So the actually some sort of awareness is in big metropolitan cities. But when it comes to that middle towns and semi towns, the students are not aware. And the problem is that it is confounded. Early, the family was taking care of the child. Whatever the decision, whatever the way they were looking at life, the family supported. Now he comes out after completing the course. Now he has to live his life. He has to select. He has to take a particular career. So then comes more problem in decision making. Am I making the right decision? Then I look for an opportunity. If it is available or not. Then he faces the rejection. Then along coupled with his personal problem, namely he may like someone, she may like someone, then the relationship of that youth. So it is all kind of mixed up with, so it is more uncertain period.
And you don't have anyone to talk to.
It cannot be cleared, it cannot be that you find out a solution, manageable solution, unless he has a good batch of friends, very understanding parents, or some elders who will listen to him and suggest ways. So generally, if that mechanisms are there, the young man can handle that difficult situation.
And this only brings to the point of like what we are seeing as depression or anxiety. Like people somehow lose hope. Like if I say a fact, in 2018, according to the reports of NCRB, more than 10,500 students committed suicide in that year. In 2018, maybe in 2020, it unfolds to more than 3 times of it. Something must be happening in those young minds, like either they lose hope. Talking about that, during depression, like what do you think happens with the child's mind? Like, is there any kind of hormonal deficiency, or what exactly happens that they totally isolate themselves, or what happens with that?
Generally, see, I am not a mental expert, so what is happening in, physiologically or chemically, I cannot say. But this is from the educators' angle, a type of person who is interested.
Yes, like you have the experience with students, like you have experience with so many personalities of students, how they behave. So you must have seen some changes, like how students used to react to your scoldings in 2010 or 12, and now how they tend to react in right now.
It is a kind of complex issues are there. there may be family issues, there may be personal issues, there may be emotional issues, such as the child failed in some classes, then he is trying to recover with that, and several have some parental issues. Father is there, father is not there, father left, the child is living with the mother. So then some people have financial problems, that they are not able to meet
The
their
financial
daily
needs.
expenses and so on. So when they are young, they don't understand. So what will happen is that the study will be affected. So it will manifest in some way or other. So generally, if the educators are not sensitive people, they will put additional burden by lowering the child's
Self-esteem.
that by scolding, punishing, and so on.
Like if he makes a mistake, then he gets
or not
scolded.
passing well, or not failed in a subject, then you are shown that you are the weakest child. So a kind of unproductive way of handling children. So that will further compound his problem. So
And that somehow accumulates, like all the things come together and accumulates.
So naturally what will happen is that if you don't handle it properly, they will begin to become a more serious problem, and then therefore they do badly in the exam. Then again what they think about themselves, that will be reaffirmed.
Do you think social media is also playing a role, creating false expectations for youngsters or anything?
Yeah, so if you ask anyone who is in the field of education, the whole influence on students who are not mature. Mature students know
They won't get affected.
their limitations and how much they can use. But general type of students, what they do is that they totally depend on the fake news, fake friends, and the relationship. They get more involved into that, and it becomes like earlier we used to speak about drug addiction, but now it is a
Social media addiction.
Media addiction.
And
that can ruin.
And there things happen, like people start to get inferior in themselves. Like in social media, they only see all the good things that are being shown. People are traveling, people are doing all the things, but they are not shown what the bad things are happening. So they create self-disgust that my life is not that good and everything.
Exactly. See, now even if anyone uses social media, even if mature people, they try to hide their, nobody speaks about their faults or failures or their ineffectiveness. Generally they show in a glowy picture, so that they get more
people who are traveling, they show their traveling pictures, but they don't show their bank balance after traveling. That how much is left.
So naturally the young people will think that I can't show anything that is worth or anything that I can make it. So naturally you start a kind of fake identity, and then they get into problems.
You don't have your own personality. You try to copy someone
else.
So these are all the things that are affecting people, affecting the youth, Father. So I have another question from this. So if my friend is depressed, or if he is having some kind of anxiety issues, how will you suggest that I help him or I talk to him? Like most of the people don't know. Like they generally tend to say things like it's just a phase, or it will pass on. They will say these things. But what should we do to help them?
It is quite natural that especially young people during their school life, college life, and professional life, they see some of their friends getting depressed. they are not able to cope up with certain failures, and some cases will be quite serious. Some kind can be mild, but you know the proverb: a friend in need is a friend indeed.
Yes,
so the parents can't do anything, and only if that child, boy or a girl, has a good friends, and he has or she had cultivated good friendship, then there is a mechanism to react against that failure, how to overcome that failure.
maybe they just act like a good listener.
It is only the limitation of friendship is that friends can suggest the person in difficulties a new approach to the problem. Either meeting a counselor or a psychotherapist or counselor or any kind. See, sometimes people are helped very much by suggestion. Good suggestion you give, because when someone is in problem, they don't see all the doors open to them. They will only see one
The negative sides.
that kind of thing. So that is why this one is in a good school. The stress is relationship. You relate.
And create bonds.
And also, it is like, now what is this, all this vaccination. It is like getting into people the immunity so that they will not be
affected by the virus.
by that. So in the failures also, or difficult part of the life, the young people develop immunity, that it is not going to kill them, but it will test them, and then they will try to get over that. See, that is an essential. So if the child has understood that failures is only a kind of a phase
of life,
and if we persist in that, and take the case of all the great people, you will find that they met many failures. They had a very, very hard life. Immunity power to face failures. Generally, they will overcome the failures.
Yes, and talking about failure, like it's the, if I say, it's kind of programmed with us from the childhood period only. That making failure or making mistakes is bad. Failing is bad. You never celebrate failures. So it kind of creates an anxiety that, okay, I might fail in this, so I shouldn't even attempt this. Or after failing, I am a failure, I'm a loser. This kind of feeling comes up.
See, that's why this is also my gradual awareness. Rarely also I used to scold students when they don't get the correct answer. But now I have changed. Now I say, okay, I attended a big international seminar in Lucknow for all India principals. The speaker was from USA. I still remember what he said to the principal. The joy of failure. Have you heard about that? The principal have joy when the students fail. He says, at least you say they have tried. See, failure comes when
you try. I think other than schools also, in the athletic field, we learn a lot about how, like, take an example of our Indian captain Virat Kohli. Like in his England phase, in his test match phase in England, he kept on failing for a same ball. Everyone started to criticize him, but it was his mentality to sustain there, kept being self-aware of who he is, and then came back. Maybe students now need to be instilled with that feeling, that if you have failed, you have just taken a step back. You have to take 2 steps forward. You have not fallen anywhere.
See, that is why that the traditional emphasis on succeed, success, win, that kind of emphasis should be success and failures,
Hmm.
they are part of life.
Hmm.
And children, when they fail, there is not so much of negative reaction.
Yes. Basically, you need to be happy with that. Okay, my child has at least tried. He has
And
at
then
least given
show
his best.
show how to
The right path.
the right path.
Hmm.
So failures, that is what is an important thing. When there are lot of problems around you,
Hmm.
the child or young man perceives all problems.
Hmm.
But the smart one will see that there is a hope, there is a little light.
Hmm.
Like we have heard that every cloud has a silver lining. So that
Positive
is what
mentality.
that is which is moving the generation. Namely, that is we call it hope.
Hmm.
The failures should give us more hope
Hmm.
that things won't be the same. I will succeed, like that.
Hmm. Okay, Father. So I think one of the major reasons why people take guilt in failure is because of the peer pressure, society pressure, or the hatred. Like if we take about the examples of our Josephites, we have few Josephites who are famous by the age of 18, 19, 20. They are making music videos, and we have younger generation people who are getting famous at a very younger age. Now what happens is, Father, you have two kinds of people who support you and people who hate you. Hate in the sense, they start to criticize you for very silly reasons. So a person who has experience of failure, who has experience of hatred, he might ignore all those things. But at such a tender age, if someone criticizes you for your appearance, someone criticizes you for your work, youngsters tend to get into a shell. Like they start to self-doubt and everything. So how do you tackle hatred? How do you tackle society's pressure, expectations, everything?
So this is naturally that is what this type of environment. See, this is something new. Early, people become successful when they were in middle ages or later youth, like 25, 30, 35, 40. They were well respected, so after a kind of studies. Now the new ways things are open to younger people, and especially the media outlet, internet, computer, all those are giving them opportunities to shine early. So naturally there is a lot of risk is there. Risk is there, and if they succeed, and they are seeing that not only in India but other part of the world, such kind of people are succeeding. So they take that risk. So what we have to make them understand this: when you are visible, then the attack can be more serious. See, there is a
like Spider-Man's proverb, with more power comes more responsibility.
Yeah, it is about, there is another proverb which says, higher the visibility, greater the vulnerability. See, when you are seeing more and well known, there will be more people to attack you,
to criticize you.
Yeah, to criticize you.
So I think we should focus on ourselves.
This is what young people should be confident of them. I am going to face harsh criticism and non-support, non-cooperation movement, etc. They have to expect, because it is something new. Now, so to succeed in that new situation, you should have a hard, confident personality. It depends on confidence. You are a talented person, but if you don't have confidence, then you won't succeed. So naturally, it is a daring thing that to come up, and he is or she is going to face criticism. But that is why that the youngster should have confidence in him,
in his work or whatever he is doing,
in his approach, and therefore what will happen is that criticism will pass away, There will be criticism. There will be many people may not approve. So you won't get that universal approval, total approval.
But you should be kind of self-satisfied with what the efforts you have put in things.
And also the main thing is that in anything what you plan, you don't get immediate results. You have to wait for the time. So that the youngsters should understand it. I am not going to build a castle just now. It takes time. So that confidence and that sense, that immunity power to face any criticism, any challenges, once he or she is convinced of what they are doing.
And maybe one day society also improves and
right.
maybe becomes supportive of everything. Okay, so Father, in leadership, one of the major traits that a good leader should have is good decision making. If I ask you in a very simple term, like there are various youngsters who lack this skill of making good decisions or making quick decisions. Like if I tell you an example, like in the 2007 World Cup of India-Pakistan World Cup, if let's say I was to stand there in place of MS Dhoni and take a call of whom to give the last over to bowl, I would have been blank with all the thoughts of people reacting to the if I fail or everything. But he took a reaction, he took a decision. He might have failed, but he succeeded. But it was a quick reaction. So how do you suggest the youngsters to take good decisions and quick decisions? How do you take good decisions?
This is what you are speaking is the field of management. In management, decision making is an important aspect. That if the decision is right, the company makes profits and the growth is there. And in every field, even our personal life, you are not into any company or any other one. We have to keep on making decisions. So the main decision making, the first and foremost, some are quite gifted. Then there is another, naturally they are gifted.
In decision risk
making.
Taking or some decision making.
Then there are some qualities management requires, management theories require. For example, you must be an astute observer. Observing the situation. And even small details should be catching your attention. See, this is a kind of thing. When a student studies, he makes fast improvement if you observe everything. With all the five senses, you observe and get the data correctly into your brain for it to be processed. So that is what is the one thing. Second thing is matured emotion. Emotion. See, what make your decisions not up to the mark will be how your emotion plays with that incident. So that is why emotional intelligence has become a very important.
Emotional quotient.
Emotional. That means, suppose you are a leader. Now, how to relate with people, how to relate with subordinates, superiors. All this is all depends on your emotional ability. So this is what is more emphasized in many new companies, new starting, that whether that emotional maturity is there, then decision making will be correct. That is one. Next is the speed with which. See, now there is you know that one got a Nobel Prize for a book called Fast Thinking and Slow Thinking.
Slow Thinking, yes, Father.
And there, there's a people we require in decision making, people who have intuition, rather than
kind of gut feeling, what we say.
Feeling. So this also will make your decision making very correct.
I also think that it is important, because if you don't take a decision quickly, either you get into indecisiveness,
Yeah.
overthinking,
Yeah.
and you miss the opportunity.
Yeah, that is what, that is precisely. This is we'll have to help. See, your intuitive thinking will be correct only when you have, brain has already received the objective data. Then that intuition will be correct. Now, suppose you didn't got all data which is wrong, and the brain will make a fast decision, then your decision will be wrong. So this is also has become a part of education. That emotional maturity, emotional quotient
strong
in approaching, in deciding about things.
Do you think regret plays a role in decision making? Like the fear of getting a regret by making their decisions, so they don't make their decisions.
Even in small things, we call it procrastination. We postpone things. We are not going to handle the situation. See, somehow this is I have noticed in schools, especially younger people. This is the problem. They will postpone, and then they get into trouble. So that postponing is one way, that one. The second is you simply totally misjudge. Your decision is not on the right spot. It is faulty. So that is another thing, another aspect of decision making. But these people who are postponing, they will be at a great disadvantage in their life, because then they get into the problem, a problem which could have been easily solved. Now they have more complex. For example, a student waited for the last moment for exam, and last moment he studies and everything gets confused, and he does poorly. So that procrastination is not the answer.
He reaches nowhere.
Yeah.
He stays in the place where he started. Okay, so Father, let's now have some short questions, like kind of rapid fire questions. So my first question to you is, what will you suggest, like one suggestion regarding life to a teenager, like a 16-year-old? With all the experience that you have gained till now, at this point of your life, what will you suggest a 16-year-old regarding life?
Yeah. When I see a young person, boy or a girl, the first question, I'm not asking that this boy or a girl will be very successful, but I am asking this boy or a girl will live a happy life. See, ultimately, you have a lot of money, but you are not happy. You have a lot of things, you are not happy. But you have only moderately things there, but you are happy. And you don't have anything, but you are happy. So
the main goal is to find your happiness.
In
any way you want.
Situation.
So if I, from the follow-through question, if I ask you, what is success? Like at your stage, what do you feel success is?
Yeah, no. See, I can tell you, one of the topper of St. Joseph School, one of the genius students, he studied in IIT. He got All India rank 21 in IIT. Then he went to Kanpur. Then he goes to USA into one of the Ivy League, University of Pennsylvania. He does a computer engineering. But slowly he realized it is not that reaching the top of the studies. He started to make relationships, friends with Americans, Britishers, Russians. And then he a moderate life, but he is living well. So when he came, I was just asking him, he seems to be quite happy with the way he is, but parents are not happy. because he is not getting married, he's not earning high amount of money. So then I asked him, you have enough money? Then he answered me, Father, how much money? What amount, where do we put limit? So I am not thinking about lots of money. I am thinking sufficient money to live a good life. So I was surprised at this young age you realized the secret of living, being happy with what he does.
Like at least be financially independent and do what you are happy with.
Yeah.
That is what success is, according to you. Perfect, Father. And so if I ask you to be successful, what are the 5 habits that everyone should instill in their life? Like any basic, any soft skill or any normal habit that everyone should have in their life to reach where they want to reach.
So that is a little complex to answer. It's a type of first and foremost, I think a person should be, any young boy or a girl, a decent human person. Decency. Basic decency. Which a quality. So I used to speak children about 2 things. What that is, one is breeding and grooming. See, what make you breeding means your father, mother, that genetic thing. Second, how you are groomed. This is an important thing. If you are well groomed and well bred in the sense, this is an important thing that you realize, because suddenly you will realize your own dignity, you start to respect others. So that first thing is that sense of that natural human decency. First thing. The second thing is, see, I tell students when they come new, you respect me, I respect you.
Give respect, take respect.
So the mutual respect, that is a second point that will, if you respect everyone, others will respect you. Then the third point is hard work. See,
hard work beats talent.
It's because of hardworking people. Not hardworking means not simply like a slogging, but intelligent hard work. Intelligent hard work. Those children always succeed. I have noticed children, from 4 years onwards, those who work regularly at the end, they are successful. So hard work always brings some result. So we have 3 points there. Then the other best point is
like you used to say us in assembly, like it's a very basic thing, but you always used to emphasize us on how to prepare for exams. Exams as in not only for the school exams, for any kind of goal that you are achieving. What kind of mindset you used to have?
The basic things about, you should learn the good, smart people, their way of thinking is different.
Creative thinking.
That means they look at things from different perspective, not like this one. See, for example, everybody used to see apples falling down. It's only Newton started to ask the question why it should be. So that creativity becomes part of that every child that creativity must be fostered, especially for this modern time. And then finally, one thing the child or people should know the value of money. What is money? See, money is for what? For what purpose? See?
Like you live for money, or
You see, does money make people happy? Then most of the Americans should have been happy. But you have to see that today every family preoccupation is money. How to get more money. But that balance view of money. Money is there to give you happiness. That true happiness, not merely enjoyment. Enjoyment is that you have everything, eat and drink and all kind of things. But the money makes that family happy instead of dividing them.
Like money should act as a wheel of your vehicle.
Yeah, money should act as a wheel, exactly. So it facilitates things. But it very often it destroys the whole atmosphere and creates a lot of problems.
And Father, like one major question that people ask, right, like youngsters ask today is there anything called purpose of life, or go with the flow is the good option? Like people waste a lot of time thinking what is my purpose of life, what is my purpose of life, and they don't take any action at that point of time. So is there anything like purpose of life, or you go with the flow and you find that purpose of life?
See, problem for developing countries or country like India is that every child, or most of the people follow a family pattern. What parents have a desire that they put into the children. First thing, that this is the ideal thing that you should follow. Now, often it is considered through family consideration. This is a very interesting thing that you have asked, I have noticed. You see, professional families, like doctors, engineers and all those, and businessmen, they put a very fixed or strict values for their children to achieve in life. You understand? Now, service people are middle class. They are telling their children, you succeed somehow. Slightly different. Now, if you are a doctor, son, doctor expect you should be a doctor. Continue to my job. Businessmen, they will say you try to improve our
inherit
business,
my business,
your family, etc. So, but middle class people, those who are servicemen, there the children get little more freedom to do what they want to do. And both of this group, then there are people, they follow what their friends do, they follow. They just like a flow, as you said. What others do, I also do. So the problem is that in all this one, when after some time of working and living, then you find out that I have not done what was my passion, what was my
what I like to do,
unutilized.
So that being said, Father, let's end this podcast. First of all, tell me, did you like this podcast, talking this podcast?
See, I didn't talk here as an expert in one.
But Father, you are an expert. Rather than a degree in something, you have an experience of those times.
Mostly my experience and my insight into the lives of young people. It was very fortunate that I became part of an institution, and there for long years. Generally, it doesn't happen. So
you have raised that institution like your child.
Then you know what happened is continuously a flow of children. Then a child is there 4 years. I can see him when he's or she is 16. So almost 12 to 14 years being with them. That is a big privilege to know children. So it is a kind of more experience
sharing, and we wanted that because all of the Josephites also who are watching this, they somehow or they have heard everything in the assembly halls. They'll just recall everything, and to all the other people who are watching, this will really be helpful.
That's what I did all my life, is basically motivate children wherever they are. They may be in the bus, I scold them or motivate them. Whether they are in the classroom after interval, they come, I get in and I give them 5 minutes what I feel about.
Yes, I have been thrashed a lot.
All those things. When I reflect back, it appears to be a kind of comical type of thing, you know. When the students tell me the story and how they enjoy that later, and that all things are, part of getting getting along with the students.
Okay, so that being said, let's end this podcast. I hope you guys have learned a lot from it. And Father, any last messages? Any last message for us or for our team who has worked?
The message is for the all young people: don't lose heart. You are going to succeed. You are going to get what you want in life. There will be some opposition, stiff, kind of grim situation. But you always remember, every dark cloud has a silver lining.
Okay, Father. So with that being said, let's end this.